comic book look and a brewski on a Friday night. Let's get into this comic book. Hello, YouTube. Axiomat here once again. And tonight we're going to get into Detective Comics Batman issue 880. If you saw the thumbnail, you saw the beautiful Jock artwork. This is one of the most recognizable covers in Batman. And that's saying a lot. There's so many. I mean, third time's a charm. There's so many. I mean, just look. I mean, can you argue that there's so many? So for any Batman artist out there to actually make an impact, right? You'd think like, oh, just another drop in the, a little drop of water in an ocean of greatness is a statement in and of itself, right? It's a big deal. And that's not to take away from anybody who's made Batman covers, who makes beautiful comic book art, just beautiful art in general. But there is also that thing. And by that thing, I mean to stand out and to make an impact, so much so that even if the comic book itself is just okay, or maybe just a part of a story, meaning as this book is, it's just it's a filler book. Ooh, that's a, I hate using that term, but it's not the first issue of the story. This is part of the Batman story called Black Mirror. I'm going to get into that, but it's part of the story, right? It's not the first issue. It's not the last issue. It's not a key issue per se, even though it is the first time Joker appears in the story. All that said, a lot of the value, a lot of the collectability, and its main draw, let me know in the comment section if you disagree or agree, is the cover by the artist known as Jock. I'm going to do close-ups on this. I think I used the G when I say close-up. Close-up. I'm going to do close-ups on this just so you guys can get a good gander at this bad boy. As always in this segment, comic book look and a brewski. I'm going to take a swig here. The whole point of the segment is to take the book out of its bag and board and look inside the pages so that we can take a look at what the actual inside looks like. So a lot of times we're walking around the Comic-Con floor or a comic book shop, and we don't really get to see the interior pages. And that's the point of this segment. We're going to open this up and we're going to take a look at the interior artwork, pages, panels. I'm excited about this one. Same as with every video in this segment, I'm going to go ahead and take the tape off from the back. Oh, my last video did the same thing where the tape didn't actually come off completely. I usually don't mess with this. If the tape comes off and it's permanently stuck to the Mylar bag, this is a Mylar bag, which is a little bit different from your standard comic book bag. It's a little bit thicker plastic. I prefer these. I've mentioned that in a lot of my videos. Usually I just let it stay there. But right now, just for the sake of this particular video, because I don't think I've done it in the other ones, I just kind of leave the tape on. Looks like I'm going to end up doing the same here. Yeah, it's just going to be a little bit too much work. And no harm, no foul, actually, honestly. There it is. It's the tape. So what some people do is they'll use tape and they'll add a little flap here so as to take it off easily. I don't do that. I just seal it. I never meant to actually take these out once I have them properly bagged and boarded. That said, though, the whole point of the segment, as I keep mentioning, is to take these out. So now I'm in a position where I have to do that. So I am going to take the tape off and explain it accordingly. This is to prevent the comic book being at risk of getting caught by a piece of tape. So Go ahead and take it out of its bag. There it is. This one I actually have quadruple boarded. Ladies and gentlemen, I've talked about this in the other videos where um, how many boards you use inside of a comic bag is totally up to you. It just depends on how the wiggle room, how tightly you want to have it inside your bag, depending on how you store it, whether you display it or not. There's a lot of different variables, so it's really up to you. Just know that in my experience, the tighter you have it in these bags, the more stress you're going to put on the spine here. Now, there's ways to still keep it very tight in the bag and prevent any spine ticks, any this from getting too smashed down, therefore creating little indents in the comic book itself. One way is to add a comic book board inside so that it maintains its roundness, I guess, if you will. There, it'll keep this section nice and round. To each their own. Comic book collecting comes with caveats, comes with other factors such as putting them into comic book bags, boards, learning how to take care of your comics. That's part of the learning curve and comic experience. Now, you can go ahead and just watch videos like mine and several other way more awesome YouTubers out there. I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it humble. But to each their own. I have always preferred to have your own experience, your own just journey in order to find out. But there's nothing wrong with learning from others that have already been there, done that, right? That's definitely true and will always be true. That said, let's go ahead and get into the actual comic book now that it's out of the bag. Genie's out of the bag, man. Look at that cover. Now, as I mentioned, the artist's name is Jock. His name is right on there. Yes, ladies and gents, just like a jock strap, just like a jock sports guy in high school football, whatever, whatever reference you want. That's his artist name there, Jock. And it's written by the great Scott Snyder. The guy's amazing. The storyline here is from the very first Batman work he ever did. And the storyline that he started with, as far as his Batman run, was called Black Mirror. I actually have that comic book in a 9.2 CGC signed by Scott Snyder. I'll go ahead and add it here. If you're enjoying my content, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I drop a new video. Most importantly of all, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. There you go. That's where it was. But check that out. Just one more close up there. Pause the video if you want. I mean, how can you not, right? Call your boyfriend, call your girlfriend, call your kids saying, hey, come check this out. Or just Google image it, right? But let's go ahead and get into the interior pages of this book. As previously mentioned, this is Batman Detective Comics issue 880. It went for $2.99. This is a book that I did get on eBay. I've mentioned that there's several different ways you can buy a comic book. Some of the harder to find books or more expensive books, sometimes you can't find them at your local comic book shops. So you do have to somewhat resort to online shops. Personally, when I do my eBay shopping, I have no real distinction whether it's from a private seller or a comic book shop that has um, merchandise, comic books online. I prefer to shop from comic book shops. If I'm being honest, it's because you're still supporting a local shop, even if they're not local to you. You know, you can if you can Google them or Yelp them and see that they're a real comic book shop. Why not, right? You're still supporting a small business, albeit you're doing it through their online eBay portal, but you're still supporting them. So let's go ahead and open this up. Green Lantern movie. Well, it's the video game adaptation. I can hear some of the boos. Hey, comic book looking at Brewsky, right? And this time I'm not referring to booze as in beer, but boo. I'm gonna get some hate for this, maybe in the comment section. Who knows? Um, I don't think the Green Lantern movie is that bad. That said, I'm not the biggest Green Lantern fan, and I know that plays a huge factor in someone enjoying, the film. It's because I don't understand or recognize a lot of the flaws, a lot of the, just the like, no, no, that's not what should have happened. That's not how the story goes. I do that with Star Wars, so I totally understand the fandom when it comes to that. So I guess I apologize in advance for saying that it's not that bad of a movie. I'm entitled to my opinion. So here are their interior pages. This is a newer comic. Obviously, I just showed the Green Lantern movie video game adaptation there. Um, so the pages are newer. The other videos I've made, I've actually gone out of my way to show my appreciation for the old ink, old pages, the smell of them, etc. Please go watch those other videos to know what I'm referring to. But look at this full page panel. Look at that. Ooh, written by Scott Snyder once again, and it is just a crazy story that the imagery is alone to hopefully get you interested. Like, what is happening? I mean, you can pause this, but there's nothing like holding the comic book in your hand, whether it's a single issue or the trade paperback. They do sell the Black Mirror story in trade paperback, so you can just go to a local shop, buy it, and read it in its entirety. The nice thing about something like that is that you don't really have to know the before and after to know what happens in a contained story. Another great example of that is The Killing Joke, Batman Hush, the list goes on. Aha. Who doesn't recognize that face? Or that maniacal smile? I think I just channeled Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, not really intentionally, just kind of came out naturally. I should do a video about my favorite Jokers or rank them in my Tuesday session of my Tuesday top 5. The problem with that, ladies and gents, is that I don't really rank them by best to worst, worst to best. I just list my top 5, and that's always in no particular order, as I say in every video. Here, I'm just showing the panels, interior pages of this iconic comic book by Scott Snyder and cover by Jock Lego. There you go. Look at the greens on that. From the green. Oh, see? You have to appreciate the coloring that goes into comic books to capture and to give you that feel while you're reading these, right? This is sequential art, right? So just capturing real life, but in this comic book format, takes a lot of skill to give you that realism, but yet still keep it to its natural form of comic book storytelling. It's amazing the talent that these creators have. Bravo. Bravo. Speaking of bravo, I mean, look at this Jim Lee. Whew. Whew. Side note, ladies and gents, this storyline in this book actually preceded right before. This was the story that went that occurred right before the launch of the New 52. That's a little bit of DC Comics history. So the Black Mirror story, hence why it went from Scott Snyder writing this right into a launching a new universe, the New 52, and you can see the date there, and then handing the reign over to Scott Snyder and the amazing Greg Capullo to tell the Court of Owls storyline with a brand new Batman issue 1. There you go. A little bit of a comic book history. Ooh. See the contrast in dark and light colors to showcase and to just, I don't know, there's no other word that comes to mind other than highlighting the effects of the storytelling itself. It's beautiful. My brother, who we call Bionic, big fan. Not the movie in this case, but the comic book. He's a big Jeff Johns fan. Atomic is a big Jeff Johns fan. I want to showcase them in my videos. Actually, I will be doing a San Diego Comic Con video here very, 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 very soon. And they do make appearances. I have to ask them. It's okay for them to appear, but there you go. The bats. You saw the cover, right? The bats that made up the Joker's face. You get a little bit more of that in here. That effect. Beautiful imagery. To be continued. Comic books, right? That is comic books. Coming to the last pages here. Some editorials, some Q&A sessions. These last pages can change. Sometimes they're Q&A, sometimes they're spotlights. So there's a variety of things that you can add at the end. They don't do this too much anymore, actually. This used to be done in a lot of the older comic books, but with the rise of the internet, social media, things like that, there's really no need. But I still appreciate a good editorial at the end of a comic book, an interview, anything like that is always appreciated. Just capture a little bit of the essence of the old school, if you will. And look at this. Now, totally forgot. I mean, I've gone through these pages before, but that was years ago. I forgot that this was the last page. Why would I remember reading so many comics? This is important for this video because hours from now, returning badge members are going to be able to purchase San Diego Comic-Con badges for 2026. It's crazy, right? Yeah, so that's happening Saturday morning, and very telling, very just coincidental, fate. Who knows, right? It just depends. And once again, cotton milk. Yeah, we all know. Have you seen the Deadpool movie with Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool? Who hasn't at this point? I mean, maybe you're watching my channel. 99.999% of you have watched that Deadpool movie. He makes fun of the actor Ryan Reynolds, makes fun of his rendition of Green Lantern in there quite a few times, and it just never stops. But those are the interior pages of this particular book. Let's go ahead and put the book back in its bag. I'm going to say this every video. Why am I showing this? It's because if I showed you how I took it out, I'm going to show you how I put the book back in. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. This is how I do it. It's not really rocket science. At the same time, there's a very, well, it's a delicacy, right? A delicate way. Delicacy, I'm not sure if that's the right term or right use of that word. It's almost like I'm talking about a pastry. But there you go. That's it back in the bag. I will put a piece of tape there, and I will display this back on the wall. This is not part of my comic book boxes. I actually have this book displayed, so it'll go right back on display, scaring anybody that happens to walk right up to it. That concludes this episode of Comic Book Look and a Brewsky. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely did. I mean, how can you not enjoy comic book art? And if you don't, what's the matter with you? No, hey, that's kind of the point here, right? I'm trying to entice people, encourage people. I'm going to keep using those two words, entice, encourage. I've used it quite a few times. And it's for a reason. I mean, why not, right? It's not like this intentional thing that I'm doing. It's just a natural thing that comes out because what's the point of making this content if not to not only enjoy myself, what I've purchased, what I own, what I love, but also to share that and to do those two things, entice, encourage others to go and enjoy the same thing. If you don't, cool. If you do, even better. Let's have these discussions. Let's meet at a Comic Con, at a comic book store. Let's just hang out in general, right? That kind of thing. Even if it's just on YouTube, right? Let's hang out. And on that note, I think this is very fitting to a lot of these videos that I make. Ladies and gents, collect what you love and love what you collect. And I'll see you in the next one.